You've made it into the new year. You want to feel excited about what's ahead, but something still feels off. If that sounds familiar, you might be in a transition that you haven't fully named yet. And the usual questions, what do I want now? Or what's my plan? Aren't helping. So I want to offer you something different. Just one question that can cut through the noise and help you hear what's really wanting to come through in your life. And doing this might finally help you feel more alive about this new year. So at the start of a new year, most people ask the same questions. What are my goals? What do I want to accomplish? How can I be more productive? What's my word of the year? These questions work great if you're clear on what matters to you, or if you're just trying to fine-tune or push yourself a little farther along the path you're already on. But if you're in a life transition where something is shifting, those questions can feel hollow or even confusing. Because here's the truth, you can't build a future from a story that's already expired. And if you've outgrown the life you're living, no question about goals is going to help fix that. So if those questions haven't been helping, there's a reason. And in just a minute, I'll show you what to ask instead, so you can finally start where you really are. So if those standard New Year's questions haven't been helping you, there's a reason for that. They assume that you already know what matters to you right now, that your job is just to push forward, grow, improve, and evolve. But when you're in a life transition, even if you haven't fully admitted that yet, your foundation is shifting. Something's going on that lets you know change is afoot in your life. And when that happens, those forward-facing questions, they don't help, because you're not in a goal-setting moment right now. You're in a what's true for me now moment. And until you stop and face that, every new plan you make is going to feel disconnected, like you're mapping out a future for someone you don't even recognize anymore. So what do you ask instead? What kind of question can meet you in this place and help you finally start moving ahead again? That's what we're going to talk about next. So here it is. Instead of asking what you want this year, try asking this: what isn't working anymore? That's it. It's not a goal or a strategy. It's a shift of focus from trying to figure out where you're going to finally facing exactly where you are. And when you ask that question honestly, something starts to move. So let's talk about why this helps, especially if you've been stuck for a while. Reason number one, it gives you a place to start. When you ask, what do I want? And your mind goes blank, it's easy to think that you're lost. But most people in transition aren't lost at all. They're just overloaded. And when your system is overwhelmed, forward-facing questions just spin you in circles. But if you ask, what isn't working anymore? It's different. It doesn't ask you to predict the future. It just asks you to notice something real about your present. You might not know what career move to make, for example, or what new purpose you want to embrace. But you may know that your current job leaves you drained or disconnected at the end of every day. Or you may know that you don't feel like what you're doing really matters anymore. You might not have a plan, but you know that this version of your life isn't it. Once you name what's not working, you can start to imagine what might. But that's only the beginning. There's another reason this question works, and it goes even deeper. It quiets the mental noise. One of the hardest parts of feeling stuck is the constant swirl in our heads. Should I stay or go? Am I overreacting? What if I regret making this change? And the longer we spin in that space, the harder it is to hear our inner selves. But when we ask, what's not working anymore? We're not forcing ourselves to make a decision. We're not trying to fix anything. We're just noticing. And noticing creates space. Let's say that you're in a relationship that used to feel right, but lately it tends to drain you. Maybe you've grown, maybe they haven't. Or maybe you've just stopped being honest with each other, and neither of you wants to admit that out loud. You don't have to know what to do yet, but simply naming that something has shifted, that it's not working the way it used to, can calm the noise enough for the truth to start coming through. And once that noise quiets down, you're no longer reacting to fear or pressure. You're just listening. And that's when real clarity can start to form. But there's one more reason this question matters, and it's the one most people miss. Number 3, it reconnects you to yourself. When you've been living in disconnection for a while, you start to lose track of who you really are. You're going through the motions. You're playing the roles you've always played. You keep doing the things you've always done. But underneath all that, you're feeling distant from your own life. And even when you want to change, it's kind of hard to know where to begin, because the person you used to be isn't quite here anymore, but the person you're becoming doesn't feel solid yet. Maybe you've reached a point in life where everything looks fine on paper, your career, your work, your relationships, your stability, but something in you feels just done, just finished with this life. You've outgrown the old story, and you can sense that a new chapter wants to start, but you don't know what it is yet. And that makes it hard to trust any move that you might make. But when you ask, what's not working anymore, you stop trying to force answers from a version of you that's kind of already gone. Instead, you start listening to the part of you that's still alive underneath all the noise. And sometimes just naming one thing that no longer fits is enough to bring that part of you back into the room. For example, when I used to work for a corporation as a copywriter, for a long time the job was great. But then several things happened and shifted, and I could see that things were going downhill in a lot of ways. And I could also feel that I was growing beyond this job, that I wanted to start my own freelance business, that I wanted to be able to set my own hours. I could feel that change happening, but it was kind of like I was in this in-between place where things at the corporation were getting worse and worse as far as the day-to-day life, but I couldn't quite see exactly the picture of where I was going to be going. Simply stopping and saying, okay, what's not working anymore? This job at the corporation isn't working. I can look 50 years down the line and see the same kind of stuff going on, and I don't want to be there at that point. Naming what's not working can help you get really clear, because when we get clear on this isn't it, then it kind of opens up the door to what might be there instead. So your investigation of the week. This week, I want you to spend a little time with the question that we've been working with. What isn't working anymore? Just give yourself 10 quiet minutes tonight to ask the question and see what comes up. It's really good if you journal your answers, or you can take a walk and pose the question to yourself out loud. Oftentimes that's a really good way to do it, because as you walk, the blood flow increases to the brain, and oftentimes the answers can be more available than they are when you're like in your home or in your office or wherever you might work. Or another really effective technique is to hold the question in your mind right before you fall asleep and see what you wake up with. The point isn't to solve anything. Just try to notice what answers come up. Whatever rises to the surface, just let it be what it is. Write it down and then just sit with it honestly and see where it takes you. After being with it for a while, you might go on to ask yourself this question. If I stopped trying to hold this together, what's one small move I might make? Your answer to this question may reveal your next step to you. For example, when I was at the corporation and when I really realized the truth about where I was at and what my future was going to be if I stayed there, and that opened up the door for me to say, okay, if not this, then what? And I knew immediately that it was going out on my own as a freelance writer. But at the same time, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do that directly, that I needed to get out of where I was because it started to be a very destructive atmosphere. So what I did was I searched for a job and got an in-between job that I then held for only 6 months, why I worked on trying this next step in my life, which was freelance. So it can be that just saying what isn't working can open up that door for you, and then you can see perhaps another alternative for yourself. And when you see that alternative, you can just start taking a few little tiny steps toward it and just see what happens. If you want more support in this kind of life transition, download my free Signals journal below. And if you still need help, make sure you check out the video coming up on the end screen, because it's another video I did on one question. It's different from this one, but it can reveal some things that this one won't. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.